Good morning. This is a tough one this morning that I'd like to speak about. I've been thinking through this and I decided it's okay that I may not have it all thought through, but I wanted to share my thoughts with you. Okay, so I'll tell you a couple little stories. So, first of all, the other day I was applying to be a substitute teacher, and I had to go down to the sheriff's office and fill out a thing so the FBI could check my fingerprints and all that kind of stuff. By the way, I'm certified by the FBI not to be a criminal, at least as of the date a few days ago, okay? So, one of the things that it said on the form that I had to fill out was hair color. Well, I mean, look, sort of gray and white. I wasn't sure what to put. And then I said to the lady, well, it's kind of mixed in with brown. My driver's license says brown. She said, well, put brown. But look at this. Look at the back of my hair. Can you see that? What color is it? It's brown. If you look at it from the back, I'm going to put my phone up here so you can see it. Hopefully the phone will not fall down. Good morning, everyone. Okay, gray and white, brown. What I did is a few days later, I found this little mirror. Actually, I notice when I'm doing these lives that sometimes my hair is kind of flat back here. I need to get it cut. But anyway, I thought I need to find a mirror, so I can hold it up and see what the back is doing. So I found a little mirror and I looked, oh my gosh, look at how brown my hair is back there. There's not hardly any gray or white at all. And okay, so that's the first story. Okay, here's the second one. And there's a point to these, all right? I remember distinctly when I was a little kid and even a teenager, talking with friends about how, let me put my phone down here, continue to make my coffee, about how adults would talk about the weather, as if that was some lame kind of thing for them to be talking about, at least in our opinion. I mean, we felt like, gee whiz, aren't there more important things to talk about than the weather? Well, I was just thinking today, one of the things that I do as part of my morning routine is I look at what the weather's going to be. Well, why do I do that? Because I don't have anybody saying to me, Sylvia, go put on a jacket, it's cold out, or wear your boots, or it's going to rain today, like a kid does. A kid doesn't really have to think about the weather because they've got adults who are being responsible in their lives about the effects of the weather. There's no school today, Sylvia. It's going to be a snow day. I mean, that was probably the only weather-related thing I was concerned about when I was a kid. But, as kids and as teenagers, we used to think it was so stupid that adults would sit around and talk about the weather. So, okay, the point of my two stories is, when you look at me from the front, it looks like I have gray and white hair. When you look at the back, I've got brown hair. Almost looks like could be a different person. Okay? As children, we looked at adult discussions, and the way we perceived it, they were stupid. But as adults, we have a different role in life, different responsibilities, and adults talk about the weather for a number of reasons. Oh, it's the cold weather's coming and I need to get my car checked out or get the heater checked, or snow season is coming, we need to put on the all-weather tires, whatever it is. So this is what I wanted to talk about. if you find yourself looking at something and saying, nope, this is what I think, this is what I believe, I will never change, that might be a little indication that you might want to give it some more thought. Now, you're not always, okay, if you're open to things and it turns out that what you're thinking, maybe you need to change your thinking. You know, if you're open to that, that is a really good quality. But I had a situation happen the other day where I have always thought that I was just stupid in a certain way when it came to applied math. And it's a little too complicated to explain, but if you know what the off by one error is, OBOE, I think it's called, to mathematicians and engineers, then you might have an idea of what I'm talking about, or you might want to Google it, off by one error. I was having trouble sometimes figuring certain things out in a practical way because there's a tendency, even engineers have made this kind of mistake, and guys who send rockets up, you know, to the moon and all that kind of thing, because of this off by one error. I didn't know that this existed, and I'm listening to a book about math. It's actually How Math Goes Wrong in the Real World. It's called Humble Pi, P-I, you know, like circumference of a circle and 2 pi r, or pi r squared. Pi r squared is the area of a circle. Anyway, okay. I don't have to use that particular one very often these days. But at any rate, so I'm listening to this book because it's just really interesting, and it explains, just so many things that happen in life that people who are highly trained and professional and, you know, multiple PhDs and all this stuff still sometimes can make this error. And I'm listening and I'm going, oh my gosh, that's exactly what has happened to me. And I was thinking about these various times in my past when I would be confused, and it involved this whole idea of the off by one error. And I just assumed I'm just stupid somehow. There must be something in my brain that did not hook up properly, because I never hear anyone else talk about this. Well, you know why I never heard anyone else talk about it? Because most people don't know about it. They're not educated enough to know about it. So, here's my point again. If you have something going on that's bothering you, that you don't understand, if you're unsure about something, or, you know, on the other hand, if you have a view that you are absolutely positive about this, then look into it. And golly, don't ever think of yourself as stupid. You know what? Nobody is stupid. Well, unless they refuse to change, all right? If you, now, okay, an exception here, all right? When I was, and I've talked about this before, I'm not going to get into it now, but when I became aware that God exists, that was something that I don't question anymore. I did a lot of questioning, but it was, okay, as sure as I am that I'm pouring this water to make coffee, okay, I know I'm doing that. I believe I'm doing it. You're seeing me. I'm seeing me. I don't know how much more sure I could be. I don't know. Am I hallucinating it? Am I imagining it? Well, that's how sure I am that God exists, okay? And I can talk about this, you know, at another time again. But other than that, don't be so sure about things. You know, I'm afraid to step on toes and talk about things that people say, nope, I don't want to hear it. This is absolutely right. here's an example that some of us may have experienced, you know? I'm your father, and what I say goes, and don't you try to talk to me about anything else. This is how it's going to be. Well, you know, yeah, in your father's house, it's his house and his rules, but at least he should be open to talking about things. I mean, you know, maybe there might be a reason to change some of the things he thinks. If you do it with an openness to whatever the outcome may be, and not that your motivation is to manipulate him and just to change him because you think differently. You know what I'm saying? So, just to recap, because I don't want to go on too long here. Okay, so from the front, my hair is gray and white. From the back, it's brown. You know, my mother used to have her hair dyed, and it was a style in the 70s or 80s, to have it done blonde in the front and brown or whatever color it was in the back. And I used to think that was silly looking. Well, here I am. I do not dye my hair. It is naturally, it's come in gray and white, but the back has not turned gray and white. Okay, so depending on which side you look at me from, could look like a different person, okay? And then the other thing, you know, why do adults always talk about the weather? Gee, that's so lame. Well, not really. When you become an adult, you realize that you're responsible for things and have to know about things that kids don't have to. So it becomes necessary and proper. You know, there's a need to talk about the weather. One other area, and some of you moms and dads, if there are any dads listening, probably can relate to this. When I have kids, I'm never gonna, you know, whatever they do, the other people that you think you don't agree with. And when you're in a situation, sometimes you feel very differently about things than when you're looking at a situation from the outside. So what I'm just saying is, you know, feel free to question things. If what you believe cannot stand up to intelligent questioning, provided that you're able to find intelligent answers, then maybe you need to change your beliefs, okay? I just wanted to share that. And just on a closing note, I was, you know, I'm Christian now, but I was brought up Jewish in a Jewish neighborhood, and I was brought up by parents who lived through World War II, and basically, well, you know, I had classmates in school, some of whose parents had numbers tattooed on their arms. Anyway, basically I was brought up with the mentality that Nazis were Germans, and therefore Germans are Nazis. And even though I've been to Europe several times and overseas to various countries, I have never gone to Germany. Well, you know, funny fate. My daughter married a German guy and she lives in Germany. So I finally, you know, from December to January, I went over there for a month. And I'm really glad that I was finally able to have an open mind, because I have discovered that while for so many years my mentality had not moved on, Germany and Germans have moved on from World War II. I think our country could learn something from it. But I'm not going to go into that right now. I'm thinking about how to share that at another time. But I just want to say, you know, try to have an open mind. It's okay to question things. And also, there's a time and a place for everything. You know, you may not have enough information to answer your questions that you have, and you may need to put it on the back burner. But don't be afraid to question things, and don't be afraid to look into what other people think, to hear what they think. You don't have to argue with them. You can just listen And if they want to debate, you don't have to enter into a debate, but don't be afraid. Be open. It's a changing world from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and even 80s. Okay, and we all need to maybe rethink some things that work differently these days than they did when we were kids. Okay, I'm going to go finish pouring my coffee and drink it up. I hope you have a good day and keep an open mind where you're able to, and think about where you refuse to be open and why. What are you afraid of? Or maybe it's just not the right time to investigate certain things. Okay, God bless you.